The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Hello. It's Julie Brennan of Joy with Julie podcast. Welcome, everyone. I want to introduce my fabulous guest, Mary Ellen Lundy. Hey.
Hi.
How's it going, Mary Ellen?
Doing very well. How are you?
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. We're so glad to have you on. So I want you to tell us a little bit about what you do for a living, Mary Ellen. Tell us.
I would love to. My name is Mary Ellen Lundy, and I run an organizing business in Stoughton. We serve both homes and businesses within 30 minutes of Stoughton. So it's really all the way from like Quincy and Braintree down to East Bridgewater area. And unlike most organizers, we recycle your unwanted items directly back in the community. So this is really what sets us apart. We have so much fun and get to use our creativeness in figuring out where your unwanted items are going to go. So they go to sober living houses, shelters, women enrichment groups, 4-H groups, schools, Girl Scout groups.
Wait a minute. Does that mean
on and on.
When I hire you, you take my crap with you?
I take all of it except for big pieces of furniture, and you are allowed to fill my car.
Nice. Okay. So when you go to a customer's home, you do the work alongside them. Is that correct?
So everyone's a little different. So post-COVID, obviously a lot more people are home, Julie. So it's coming in, getting a brief description of what they're looking for. They might go back to work for a couple of hours and then come back and check on me. But the biggest thing that we do is we do not leave with items that you do not give permission for. So sort of like, you see those like really cool shows on the HGTV when they make their, sort of 3 piles: keep, toss, and donate. And we sort of do that too, but obviously want to eliminate that trash section except for like gum wrappers and things like that. But Everything can be recycled, at your own recycling station at home, or that donate is really subdivided into like 15 or 20 categories. So that's when we get the Shaw's bags out, label everything with Sharpies, and then you come and take a look at what we've suggested for what should go to the gardening club, what should go to the after-school video game club at the middle school, and then ultimately you as the client have the final say.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I'm all about recycle, reuse, and repurpose. So
100%.
That is so important. And honestly, that's why sometimes in certain areas of my house that are cluttered, because it's so hard. I cannot put something in the landfill knowing that it could go to someone. But then it takes me that extra time and it sits around the house and something gets on top of it and it gets covered in a corner.
Yes.
And then I was married to Tom, who was very neat and tidy. And him being with someone like me, I think was not helpful for him. But it was just hard for me. I wasn't a thrower and he was a thrower. Like he would just toss things away.
Most men are.
Really?
Yes. But
Get out.
It's really about respecting the people and their items, which is why we don't throw anything out without permission.
Love it.
Obviously, if things are broken or whatnot, we still try to find a use for them. But it's really about being respectful to those items and honoring those items. We have, it's been around for a long time, but like that saying that if you don't live there, neither does your stuff. So great Aunt Bertha's collection that's taking the attic up or taking space in the garage, right? We want to use a few of her items and use them thoughtfully, Julie, right? Not honor that person by having a bunch of cardboard boxes in the corner of a space.
Yeah.
Right.
When they're just like hidden and nobody sees them anyway.
Yes.
I love that. Actually, that's great. Fabulous. So as our viewing audience knows, that the Joy with Julie podcast is about joy, optimism, and you. So we invite guests on here that live a life of joy, giving off their good vibe and their happiness. We also understand and honor that there's a lot going on.
Life is really hard, especially these days of what we're living in, late 2025.
Yeah. And you know what? Recently I've had to kind of take some people off social media and just focus more on me and the boys, right? So I'm focusing on the children and I, what that looks like is different than it used to look like.
Sure.
And it's disappointing and sad that sometimes people are in or out of your life, or maybe they just don't belong on social media. And I'm very much the believer that not everybody needs to see what I post on social media. How do you feel about that?
I'm not a huge poster. I'm on social media for the business, of course, that's my way, through Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook and my website that I promote. But I think it's really challenging. I'm okay with my mental health, but a lot of people who aren't, Julie, it's really challenging to see, oh gosh, that person's going on vacation again. And then you just start getting in your head of how are these people paying for this?
Yeah.
When you're struggling financially, you really want to focus on your four walls, right? On everything immediate. And I think the same is true a lot for mental health, and one of the things we talk about all the time in an eco-organized approach is it's okay to ask for help, right?
I love that.
No one is perfect, Julie, no matter what anyone's house looks like, no matter what you see someone at a gala, what you think their marriage is like, no one is perfect.
So true.
And I think it's so important to remember that, especially in these hard times where I just paid $4 for a thing of iceberg lettuce. What I should be paying 99 cents for,
right?
And I just think these are really difficult times right now. And I think everyone needs a little bit more happiness and joy. So I'm so glad you're doing this podcast to spread that joy.
So thank you. And so even to piggyback on what you just said with the joy and getting back to living a life of happiness and authenticity, I think everyone needs grace.
Yes.
One thing I'm thinking about is a family member that went off on me yesterday by text. And I said to her several times, we can talk about this as adults. Let's get on a call. She avoided the phone call, wouldn't do the phone call, just let me have it by text, right? Unfortunately, the story that she put in her head was this huge, big, convoluted story that had nothing to do with reality. And if she would just get on a call with me, she would see that I made a decision based on certain things. And that's all it was. It was not to be made personal. Let's leave it there. And instead it turned into this huge thing. And I really think that every person, whether the haves, the have-nots, the in-betweens, I think every person deserves grace. And whatever is going on in your life at any given moment can be hard, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't put the highlight reels out on Facebook for people to know what's hard in my life right now.
Right.
But it's not all peachy keen, right? However, my response to it is I'm going to live a life of joy. And that's a decision that I make.
It is. And it's a decision, Julie, that you do by choice every day.
Every single day.
And I think you are such a positive person. And I think even when things are challenging, because we've known each other for a few years now, and I think no matter what, I always see you being optimistic. And so I actually was wondering, what do you do that brings you joy, or how do you find your joy?
Okay. So it is definitely threefold. Number one, my kids, Jason, Anthony, my guys. I always thought I was going to be a girl mom.
Right.
I thought I was definitely going to have a daughter, and I got two sons, and God knew what he was doing. I grew up with two brothers.
Yeah.
I was smack in the middle of the two boys. I'm very close with my dad. I'm close with my mom. I loved hanging out with my dad as a little girl growing up. Still love spending time with my father. Family is number one to me. I think for those of us that have good families and were brought up, in a loving home, we were blessed. We were blessed to have that start.
Yes.
That good foundation. And so I hope and pray that my children one day see that I also gave that to them, even through our trials and tribulations and going through grief in their early years, losing their dad when I was very young. But I would say definitely family first. the beach, meaning the ocean, any type of water.
Oh, love, 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 love.
I got a saltwater pool a few years ago in our backyard. It's an above ground, but it's a beautiful pool. And that's my second beach.
Nice.
So, the Conservation Commission had us put in a saltwater pool. Love it. Like, it's so good on the mind, the body, the soul.
Beautiful.
And it helps me relieve stress. So I think the biggest thing for me being joyful is not letting stress come into my body.
Right.
So
like stopping it
just like
before.
Yeah. Or when I feel it, when I feel my nervous system like under attack. So as an empath, definitely the nervous system, my adrenals get low when I'm stressed or when I bring up or pick up other people's energy. So to stay joyful, my mental health has to be high, my vibe has to be high, and my body has to feel good. So kickboxing, yoga, nature, swimming, being near the ocean, all that stuff.
Right. And they say, like, if you're having a really bad day, literally, simplistically, go for a 10-minute walk. Right. And we do a lot of those things in the business when I start to feel, a client really stressing out. It's, oh, can you come help me bring this to the car? And sometimes just that change of atmosphere from the house to the car, right? When you can hear the birds and the sun is shining or there's a little breeze over your shoulder.
That totally makes sense to me because I'm not an indoor person. I'm very much an outdoor person. I'm a Leo. I need to be around people. I need connection. So that actually makes a ton of sense to me because when I'm in my house working from home or working in the office for too long, I do need to get moving, and outside is the answer.
Yes.
So I love that you brought that up. That's great. So another thing that brings me joy is dancing, movement, like just literally music that I like. My son, Jace, he is the king of dancing in the kitchen with me, and I love it. A few weeks ago, actually, we have this Bose speaker that's in our kitchen. So he was upstairs. I thought he said goodnight to me for the night.
Yeah.
I was tired. Next thing you know, on the speaker, loud, comes a song he's playing from his phone. And I was like, hey, what? Like he said, good night.
Yeah.
So then he comes down and he has on a hat. I think he even had on sunglasses. And he starts dancing. And it was
That's
like
awesome.
peeing my pants laughing.
That's awesome.
And so I'm like, oh my God. And I'm recording him. And then I'm like, I wish I could dance with you. And he's, kids with technology. He just comes over, takes the phone from my hands, puts it on the little pedestal thing I forget that it has, right? And he sets it up so then we're both dancing.
Right.
And I felt so good.
Oh, I love that. But as moms, that's what's so hard, of you're worried, oh my gosh, I weigh 15 pounds more than I want to, or these pajama pants have holes in them, or my hair isn't done. And it's, I think, a nice reminder, Julie, that the children don't care about that.
Don't care.
They don't know that there's piles of papers to grade and other things around the room to be done. They just want to be with their mom.
Oh my God, so true, because that day, there's 2 videos we have of us dancing in the kitchen. One went not viral, but in my world it went viral, right? So we had a lot of views. I took my bra off 5 minutes before he came downstairs because it was 10:20 at night, right? And it was a long day. And so I'm in jeans and a cute top. I have no bra on, girl. So in the video, if you look at the video, I'm so funny because I'm showing you my butt and I'm dancing with my backside because the boobies were shaking. You know what I mean? So
oh boy.
It was so funny. But Jace, the kids do not know any of that. They don't know when you feel like crap or when you feel like you're 20 pounds overweight. It is so true. And all these years I've been raising them and I'm the picture taker. So
of course you are.
Because their dad died 15 years ago. Jace was 3. I was pregnant with his baby brother. So because that happened, it changed so much the way I view the world and life in general. But I take pictures. I'm like a picture whore. So I'm always snapping the pictures, which means I'm never in the pictures.
Of course.
And then when I am, someone cuts my head off.
Yeah.
I'm not there. My chest is there.
Oh, there's my arm.
It's so funny. But mothers, the message we have for you today, mothers, is you got to get in the dang picture. Right?
Put the bathing suit on. Do your thing.
Show up.
And they will be thankful.
Yeah, so much so. And be present. I think a lot of us are not present. We're scrolling on these phones. I saw a dad the other day in his yard with 2 toddlers. He had a cute little baby that's around 1 and a toddler on one of those little those little bike things that they motorize, the Fred Flintstone mobile, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like he's like this. And I do it too. I've been there too.
Right.
However, that time is so fleeting when they're little.
Mm-hmm.
And if they always see us like this attached to our phones,
Right.
they start to value like their worth less. Like I feel like they think that they're not as important to you as their parent because the devices are always so important.
Right.
And I know my youngest has been my biggest teacher on that because I started a nonprofit about 13 years ago. We Do Care. And 9 years ago, it was me a nonprofit, right?
Right.
But I built it from the ground up. And building a nonprofit from the ground up with zero backing, zero investors was so much work. And one time, you're not going to believe this, one time my phone went missing. It was gone for more than a week.
Really?
Now, I loved it.
Wow.
I love when my phone gets missing.
Wow.
If you want to do me a favor, take my phone and hide it on me.
Mm.
I love it because in running the nonprofit, I have people Facebook message, email me, text me, call me.
I feel that.
And I have 3 emails.
Yes.
Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I'm a mom. I'm a mom, but I'm a business owner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Same.
So Anthony, it was 2020 or 2021. It was at least 4 or 5 years ago. So he was like 10. He's always been my biggest teacher.
Yeah.
And so he took my phone and he hid it.
Wait, is that how it went missing?
Yes.
Stop it.
No. So he took my cell phone because I was on it too much because I wasn't being a present mom.
Right.
So he took it. And then what happened is I didn't really look for it. Like I like glance for it.
Right.
But I love it when my phone goes missing.
Yeah.
I'm serious. So I enjoyed the first 3-4 days. And I have a MacBook, right? So technically I can check my text from my MacBook.
Sure.
So it's not that big of a loss running a business without a cell phone. And it's like paradise. So day 5 or 6 comes up, and all of a sudden I was like, I've looked in all the places. Something told me a hunch that he had to do with my missing phone. And then I was like, if I was him and I hid my mom's phone, the more time that went on that mommy didn't have her phone, the more I would get scared that I was going to get in big fat trouble. So I wouldn't tell her. Right?
Right.
So I go in his room when I have this revelation that the kid hid it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, Anthony, so if you know where mom's phone is, no questions asked, just have it resurface. And I saw out of the corner of my eye the look on his face. Within an hour, my phone was given to me because he wasn't going to get in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. And so we chatted about it afterwards after that phone resurfaced. And I was like, just leave it on the kitchen table, whatever. Like, you're not going to be in trouble.
Yes.
You're not going to be grounded. No punishment. And he's like, huh. So he got his free pass, right?
Right.
And it was so funny because this person I was friends with at the time was like, I would have beat his And I was like, but you know what? That's why you're not his mom. That's why I'm his mom.
Right.
Because I get him. And actually, that was his teaching moment. That was when he was like, Mom, you're not present.
Right. And it's such a fine line because you are there for those women when they call in their time of need, whenever that is, and you will drop. And that's a beautiful thing to be there for someone after such a deep loss. But at the same time, it's also amazing that you're showing your boys how to commit to something and how to do something. But then it's such that downside as well of then you're not present with them,
So you're making me think of, so I'm going through a divorce, but my husband, Tom, he's been my husband since 2016, I think. Yeah, would that make it 8-ish, almost 9 years? Yeah. Okay, 2016. So he used to tell me to have office hours, and I think I couldn't hear him, Mary Ellen.
Yes.
I literally had earmuffs over my ears and didn't know what he was speaking, what he was saying. And all I could see and hear and think was, you don't understand, I own a business. You don't understand, I run a business. It's important. These people are important.
Yeah.
But he was right. I will admit, I should have had better boundaries, and I should have had weekends off, and I should have shut it off at a certain time at night. So now I'm getting better at that.
Yes.
And how I'm getting better at that is even when I see emails in the landing, even when I see things in the messenger, I'm like, that's a We Do Care problem. That waits till Monday. So for this weekend, I had to wait till Tuesday, which is today.
Tuesday at 9:00. It can wait till then. Sometimes I open them and then just, save them as unread.
Right.
As I'm sure you can imagine, I'm not a person that likes, opening up a phone and seeing 7,429 messages. That is not my style. It's okay if it is your style. It's just not for me.
Definitely.
So, the handful that are in the queue, I know who they are, and I know I will get to them.
So hold on. I wanted to show you.
Oh, don't. Just don't.
Just look.
Oh, good Lord. I should have increased that number, I think.
3 times your size. All right. So that leads me to my next wondering. Someone that I know said more than once that physical clutter equals mental clutter. True or false?
100% true.
Could it be that to everyone that's not correct?
There's a handful of people that state that they know where everything is. Mm-hmm. It's just in piles. Mm-hmm. But all of that is so stressful. It's stressful on a marriage. It's stressful to you as a person. It totally affects your mental health. When you are organized, Julie, you find your items faster, which saves you time.
What if you have ADHD? So lots of women are getting diagnosed late in life.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's a thing.
Yes.
So what if you have ADHD and what if you're used to managing all the tasks and all of the things and keeping a lot going up in here?
Yes.
And what if you're like me? Mm-hmm. So the way I operate is I take care of everyone else and my stuff last. So my car is a hot mess any given day. And my bedroom fluctuates.
Yes.
But it tends to be messier.
Okay.
And my pile of mail tends to go through last. So that being said, I'm trying to break that pattern.
Good.
Because I think I'll be more efficient when I'm neater.
Yes. And it's all, Julie, it's about healthy habits. When I meet someone and I tell them that I run an organizing business, and they always say, oh, your house must be perfect. But that's when you remind people, right, that there is no such thing as being perfect and no one is perfect. And we're all about recycling. So at an eco-organized approach, I'd rather take your old phone case or some old cutlery box that you have in the back of a closet and use that to organize a junk drawer. You want to go out later and spend crazy money on stuff, that's totally fine. But we're all about using what's already in the house, because as a mom and as a business owner, I want less things to do, Julie, right? I still run my errands and I get done things. But I just sent a bunch of things to the graphic designer, and one of them are daily tasks that I do really for my mental sanity, running a house with 5 other people living in it and running a business.
Tell me 2 of them.
Dogs.
What are the 2 daily tasks?
So one is pick up the living room, which is not complex. It is putting the pillows back on the couch because those children do not. What is the issue? Put the pillow on the darn couch.
Yes, put it back.
And the blankets. So we really, I corral that, whether if someone was coming over really quick. So pillows go back on the couch. And I have a large laundry hamper from Costco. Literally, it opens. I took the liner out and the blanket gets pushed and stuffed in there. It is not folded. It is not rolled in something beautiful. It's a manageable thing that I need to do.
So funny. I agree with you, because in our living room, I have this nice gray, it's not wicker, but it's woven basket, and there's folded blankets, but then inevitably the one that gets used the most, I'll just throw it on there, because I'd rather have it there than just throw it on the couch.
And that's okay, Julie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not about perfection.
No,
it's just
not
about being picked up.
And if someone was coming over and you had an extra 3 minutes, roll the stupid blankets. Right. That's fine. But if the blankets are, in that corral area, it's fine. So living room gets done every day, no matter what. And really the dishwasher. But also, as a mom, I know that my children are going to be off to college and have jobs and things like that. Well, they already sort of have some jobs, but jobs in the house, that's outside. They need to know how to complete tasks. So the dishwasher is one of the things that gets done every day. But it's not, as you know as a mom, it's not just running the dishwasher, Julie, right? You have to run the dishwasher. You have to have a tab in it. You have to make sure there's no major gunk on the dishes. And then once those dishes gets put away, right, into the cabinets, then the dishes that are in that sink have to get put in.
It's a never-ending process.
And then you need to clean the sink after, right? So all of the children, yes,
good.
All of the children do chores, and I've been criticized, of course, but they have since they were very young.
Amazing.
And they also, but I stayed at home for so many years, and they needed to know,
and you were on top of that,
how many things I was responsible for.
Love that. That's
it
good.
was, you don't work. No, I work full time. I just don't get paid is what I would say, you know, for 10 years.
Yeah. You were the manager of our house.
Yes. 100%.
And it's such a job.
Yeah. So living room is on the list of daily tasks as well as the dishwasher.
I love that. Okay. So we're going to hop into more of the joy aspect, right? So living a life of happiness, living a life of joy, and what that looks like. So I just want to talk to our audience and just mention that happiness is a state of mind, right? So for those of us that were trained to be optimists or for live a life of joy and happiness and optimism, it is a daily, ongoing, I'm not going to say battle, but is a work in progress.
Yes.
Does that sound fair?
I think so.
Okay. So it actually is easier to be a negative person than it is to be a positive person, right? So it's something that you have to work towards. And we hope that by offering this Joy with Julie podcast and inviting in our guests that live a life of joy, that will help you. So what I want to know is, what brings you joy?
Ooh, this is going to sound a bit cliche, but simplicity.
Okay.
Right? And that's simplicity in my clothes, in my house, in my children's activities, right? Living with less. When you live with less, you have less decisions to make.
Wow.
I was criticized once because one of my children was invited into the high school marching band when they were in 6th grade. And we really thought about it.
Okay.
And I did a lot of research. I talked to a ton of people. And ultimately, we decided that it was not for our family because there are major, major commitments, right? And I just want to hang out with my children.
I get that. I've never heard anyone tell me that, but I get that. So my kids were not like activity-based children, and everybody almost that I know has their kids in a lot of activities, and that's great. That's good for them.
Wonderful. Yes.
Being a business owner, my life was already crazy enough.
For sure.
My kids didn't like to be run around to different activities.
Right.
They weren't sports-minded. They're creative types. They like their downtime. So that's interesting to hear you say that, but I like our homebody time. I like our downtime.
Yes.
And last night, Anthony and I were just chatting, and when I can have my almost 15-year-old son just chatting with me, I feel like at the end of the day, I've done what was right.
You've done good, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that looks different for all the families.
It does.
So no judgment whatsoever.
No,
it's just
100%. Yes.
For any family.
Yeah. We now have, I know you recently got a puppy. We have 2 dogs, that are still fairly young, and they went out for 2 walks yesterday.
Nice.
Lucky dogs, but we did that all together as a family.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
And life is all about choices, Julie.
Yeah.
And that's why I just choose to live a more optimistic life, because I think it's so easy to just drown in sorrows and in, stuff. We don't call it clutter at an eco-organized approach. We don't use that word. We just say stuff.
Stuff. Okay.
But it's all about supporting you from where you are and bringing you up. We love to get those messages, Julie, of, oh, you helped save my marriage. I slept so much better last night. I have so much more energy, and
that's incredible.
Life can just suck you in, right? There is so much to do on a daily basis. Take care of the car, fill the prescriptions. I email like 3-4 teachers a week easily with the 3 children, and it's hard managing all of those things, right?
Right. It is hard.
You know.
And nobody gives women credit. Why?
No.
Nobody gives us enough credit of all the things we keep track of in
Right.
our head, on our list.
And that's exactly what it
daily.
is. It is that mental load, right?
Yes.
That mysterious, luminous mental load,
Oh
you
my
know.
God, yes.
And I love my husband very much. We've been
I
married
know
for
you
almost
do.
20 years.
Shout out to the house.
Woo, James. But, you know, he loves to help by saying, babe, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And he doesn't get that needs to be formulated from here.
You don't have the bandwidth
and it's a
to make him a
multi-step
list.
thing.
Yeah, I get that.
Yes.
I get that.
And it's challenging.
I get that because I'm the world's worst delegator, and running a nonprofit organization, probably not a good lagging skill to have.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a pattern that I'm breaking of people should look around and see what needs to be done.
Right.
Which is not a good pattern.
It's not going to happen. But also giving the children the chores, it stops that, and you hope that it will illuminate those other things of if that child's job is to clean the sink, that they also might notice that the toilet paper needs to be refilled or something.
Right.
You know.
And do they? Do they notice?
Sometimes. I mean, it's now one of their jobs, so yes, right? But just like anything else, if you're struggling and you need help, reach out. It doesn't matter if you reach out to an organizer. It doesn't matter if you reach out to a girlfriend. Reach out for help.
1,000,000%. Mental health is so very important. We just want to let you know that there are organizations to help with mental health. And if you are struggling, we need you to reach out to someone. It's very important to talk to someone. There was a very tragic accident that happened recently locally. It sends me chills through my body and my bones. There are men and there are women that are definitely struggling. And we want you to definitely get what you needed. There are counselors that are trained that are out there. Please, if you know that you need help and you're struggling, just tell one person. I know that the Samaritans is a great organization to help. If you're thinking about death by suicide, if you're thinking about that there's not a place for you. I do want to say my own personal beliefs on that is that when a person is mental health struggling and they're hardcore struggling, they actually do think that the world is better off without them. And all the people that love them and care for them and want them in their life would never, ever think that. But it's this bad story that when your brain starts to break down, that it tells you. So we just need to be more aware. And I think everyone needs to be cautious, to check in on their people, to send a card every now and then, do a phone call, not just text, and just say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I love you. You know?
It's a beautiful thing.
Last thing before we close up, what would you like to tell your 8-year-old self?
Ooh.
What would you want your 8-year-old self to know? Now that you've grown and gone and you're in your 40s, what would you want your 8-year-old little girl to know?
Oh, that's a very good question. You're going to be okay, right? You have to work through things. And just like in the organizing business, Julie, with an eco-organized approach, we have to talk about things. Women need to talk,
You do.
right? Because there's a reason why you're holding on to those items in the closet from the auntie or the things from a past marriage, right? You have to talk about it. And just like in any sort of therapy type, I am not a therapist,
Right.
I am an organizer, but
Right.
what happens, Julie, is you can create a story of why you're keeping something in your own head, but when you start to say it out loud, it's real, right? Those feelings become real because you can kind of like BS yourself in your brain.
Oh, sure.
But then when it
They
comes
call it
out,
running a racket, when you run a racket in your head.
yeah. And ask for help if you need help.
I love it.
You know,
I
but
love it.
yeah, that 8-year-old girl was about to start the confidence. She didn't quite have the confidence yet, but she is going to get it very soon, and she's going to be okay.
Okay. So a couple little tips real quick for your joy is get outside and walk.
Yes.
Move, dance.
Yes.
Call a friend.
Call a friend. Find a cheerleader. It's something I do in my business, but it's also something I think you can easily do with friends, right? Find your people, find the cheerleaders, find the people that are going to lift you up, right? Not bring you down, not leave you stagnant, but lift you up and tell you all of those positive things that you need to hear about yourself.
I love it. And remember your self-worth. Remember how amazing you are. All right. Peace and love, guys. Remember to take care of your own joy. Love you. Bye, guys.
Bye.